I think entrepreneurship and high performance athleticism is very similar in the mindset. I think that's why I enjoy working with both. And I think athletes and entrepreneurs are just wired to look and do hard things.
Leo Howson, a nervous system coach who's helping entrepreneurs, CEOs and combat sports athletes overcome adversity and take back control of their lives.
When I was running my business, I was 29, successful, nice car, nice watch, all the rest of it. Everyone's like, well, you must be doing really well. On the inside, I'm getting up in the morning, stressed, having panic attacks over emails, like trying not to take calls, putting out fires. Everyone thinks because of the materialistic side of things that you're doing well, but then internally you're just in a world of pain.
What's our biggest mindset trap the high achieving fall into?
Taking on more, like more is more. It just isn't. It's like I'll take on that extra thing, I'll do that thing, I'll work harder, I'll do more marketing, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll take on an extra thing. Actually, often you need subtraction. The high performers are really like just more, but then they burn out. Saying no is probably the most powerful thing you can learn to do. Yeah, I'd say I was always known for having just ridiculous grip.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I trained since I was 15. So like if I was on someone's gi, they were like, I just can't get you off.
Yeah.
So I was sort of like, I like to be more upright. Like I didn't like being down my back.
Yeah.
Although I could hold you there. But it's just a weird concept. But then the only thing
it's a weird sport. Man.
Yeah, I have done a bit of Muay Thai, but with the jiu-jitsu, but not like just pure Muay Thai, and then Taekwondo as well, but bit of boxing. But the thing with jiu-jitsu is the reality of it, of using it. If I'm one-on-one with someone, fine, but when does that actually happen?
I just think it's good to like it's more self-defensive. Like if someone took you,
You're getting jumped.
Yeah.
If you're in a bar,
I think if someone took you to the floor, the only good thing about it would be getting up.
Yeah,
I'd feel confident to get back up, no matter who. I just feel confident. And obviously, after that,
you can
you're not
stop
going to
yourself
start
being
like trying
pummeled
to
on the
get someone in a
floor.
Kimura.
No.
Well, didn't there someone from his gym, one of the trainers in this Bedford gym, didn't he try and he was having an argument with his neighbour or something, and it sort of kicked off, and he got him in did he get him in an arm triangle? I think he got him in an arm triangle with the geezer, or a rear naked choke. The geezer bit his ear off. Like a bit of chunk out of his ear. And it's like, you choked him out, but you fucking just half of your ear's gone.
Yeah, there's no rules.
There's no rules about it.
Nobody works in like one-on-one as well.
Well, yeah, exactly.
If there's more than one, then you're...
But people will just bite you in that. Like,
I
you can't
suppose it
obviously
depends
do that in a
what level you're at
competition.
as well,
Well, even
and
though people do
yeah.
get bit in competition.
Are they?
Some
Max
people
get a bit.
I think they rate boxing to be the best thing in a real fight.
Yeah.
Where you're keeping distance.
Yeah.
You can hit someone and get out.
I suppose kickboxing, you would say like Muay Thai or kickboxing, just for the fact you got the extra reach with the leg.
Yeah.
You can keep it a little bit
See,
more
I think
at bay.
wrestling is.
Oh, wrestling,
And I only say that because a lot of people on nights, well, if it's mainly going to be on the street, they don't probably know how to fight, otherwise they wouldn't try and fight you. So if you can take them down like straight away and just get away from them, then it's an easy way. But if someone needs to get pieced up, then box it.
So, or you just try and test it all.
Yeah.
You'd have to have the same person with same skills.
Yeah, and just try and run up on him.
Reset.
Leo, thank you for coming on today, man. Really appreciate it. Obviously, you're a business mindset coach helping entrepreneurial dads. Do you help all sorts of dads, even if they're not entrepreneurial? I know you dabbled in the sports side of it as well.
I guess I'm more of a performance coach.
Yeah.
But I ended up working predominantly with men and dads, so I'm just calling them out now.
Yeah.
Because that tends to be who I attract anyway.
It's my tribe.
Yeah. It's just, but I specialise in performance coaching. I described it to someone the other day as I'm more of a performance life coach. That's the best way to describe it. Because I would say performance coaching is more, it doesn't have to be, but it can be quite sports orientated. And then what I do, because of the different skills I've got, crosses over with sports, entrepreneurship, business, just general growth. But then inevitably with that, you end up dealing with anxiety, trauma, stress. So performance for me is more, I think performance is more of a masculine word. So it's accepted more by men. So I'm coaching someone and we're talking about performance and I'm helping you perform at your best, whether that's business or sports, as a man, that's more acceptable than I'm seeing a life coach to deal with my anxiety and trauma. So I think it's all the same thing. But
you
it's
just
the
like
wording.
it's the wording.
Yeah. So yeah, at the moment, I mainly work with high performing entrepreneurial men. I think entrepreneurship and high performance athleticism is very similar in the mindset. I think that's why I enjoy working with both. So your average day person just doesn't have the same mindset.
Yeah.
So where we get that crossover between sport, which is why I think I fell into working a lot of athletes, because if I say you need to do this because it's the outcome, they just do it. And it's the same with entrepreneurs. If you've got that mindset of, if you do this, you'll get this result. It's not why. It's like, okay.
It's funny, a lot of people we have on our pod, they say this sort of same thing. They like working with athletes.
A lot of the strength and conditioning coaches, because they're like, other people just whine. Why do I have to do this many sets? Why? And the athletes just do it. Why do you think that mindset is different? Do you think it's just from the rigorous training, or with business, the rigorous hours people putting in?
I think it's just inherent. You either have or you don't. You can build it. So that's where you get into grit and willpower. There's an amazing book by Angela Duckworth, Grit. And I guess grit is the UK version of determination, right? It's a bit of American angle on it. But it's developed through childhood. So there's loads of things going around at the moment that actually when you've got, so I've got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and getting them to help around the house and do chores helps build mental resilience, helps build grit. So it's all about what happened as a child to what you do now is then going to affect the way you look at things. And it's growth and fixed mindset as well. It's okay, well...
Need a sprinkle of trauma.
You do. You don't want to, but you do. But then, well, the thing is trauma can be... My little girl came up to me and I don't quite tell her in the right way that she looks nice because she wants approval. And I think I'm giving it, but not in the right way. That can cause subconscious trauma. And that's all developed from 0 to 7 years old. So a lot of the time when you're working with athletes or entrepreneurs, they've got something there that has come from childhood, or they might have seen their parent doing something in a certain way. I come from an entrepreneurial background, so my grandparents had businesses, so that's all I knew and saw. So it was getting up early, working. Granddad was in the army, so I was like, you're not going to school unless your shoes are polished. This is this, in this certain way. So then you just develop that mindset. But I think it's, once you realise if you can develop a growth mindset and you realise doing things provide a certain outcome and you can see it and you give yourself proof of that, you keep doing it. But a lot of people get stuck at, this feels hard. It's supposed to be hard. Just get over that and move forward. And I think athletes and entrepreneurs are just wired to look and do hard things.
How did you actually get started with it? Like, let's take it all the way back. How did you delve into that route? What shaped you to go that way?
So if we go all the way back, I started my first business at 23. I was in architectural glazing, which is sort of your grand designs, and I still do that now. So I had success in that business. I was on my honeymoon. I was getting emails coming through, and I realised through the stress and overworking, I had developed trauma to the noise of an email, the noise you get on your phone, that was causing me stress. So an email's going, and I was thinking and creating stress in my mind to what that email could be, because I dealt with so many problems, so much stress, and I was just a firefighter. And I was like, this can't be normal. And I was on my honeymoon, I was in the Maldives, like, this is amazing, and I'm just stressed. I've got a business partner at the time calling me up saying, we need to get this job in because there's not going to be money there. And I'm like, on my honeymoon. So I was like, how have I got here? So I need to rewire how I got to be successful on my terms. But then my definition of success had changed. So I was like, okay, well, I've started a business, I've done well, put in the graft, I've done the whole hustle thing, which is still, we sort of still throw that around a little bit. And I don't disagree with hustle, but I agree more with, you'll have seasons of being in balance and out of balance, but as long as you get the adjustment over time, that's okay. But not just hustle, never switch off. So basically I just started rewiring it. So I trained as a mindset coach. As part of the mindset coach, hypnotherapy was a part of that. And I was like, I love hypnotherapy. So then I trained as a clinical hypnotherapist. Then I was always fascinated in flow state because I always had this thing, like, why are people in the office with me? And I was working for an hour and I was getting my day done in an hour, and people next to me, like within my company, they were taking like 3 days to do the same thing I was doing in a few hours. I didn't realise I was getting into flow, and I had all these triggers that I didn't know anything about. So I got into a book called Flow, which is a guy called Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. I don't know if you've heard of that book, but he recently died, but he's like the founder of Flow. Flow is another word for happiness. We just don't perceive it that way. So then I trained as a flow state coach, and I trained as a human potential coach, and I just sort of like entered into this world, and I was like, I love this.
They're very big on like self-development. It's like you've just been developing yourself the whole period.
I did it all for myself, and that's when I always tell my story. I did all of this for me, and I was at a point where I wouldn't ever say I was like massively overweight, but when I was in shape for my honeymoon because I had something to be in shape for, and then afterwards I sort of like dropped out of shape. I was drinking more. I was still going to the gym because I like the mental aspect of it, but I wasn't really looking after myself, so I wasn't looking at nutrition, health. I just undid everything and then redid it with new training for myself, and then inevitably realised I liked helping people, and then started doing it with...
So how long was that period of like from your business to...
Probably a good 3-4 years worth of training whilst running my business, whilst working with people. Most recently I've trained as a transformational breathwork coach, because like all of these skills really, they're one thing. But I did a part of my human potential training. We had a guy come in and do transformational breathwork. I was like, I'll give it a go. And it's basically breathing for an hour. I was like, well, this just sounds like, what's that going to do? I had this a couple of years ago, and I had this experience, and it's quite tough. It's a certain breathing technique. But what it does is it causes something called transient hypofrontality, which is basically shutting down of the prefrontal cortex. So it slows your mind down, which is exactly the same as flow state. So when we get into flow, your brain slows, which stops the monkey mind going, and that's why you're able to concentrate on the task at hand.
So it's more like you're thinking logical.
You're just not thinking.
You're not thinking.
It shuts the overthinking down. It shuts the sort of the caveman mind
It's
down.
sort of like that chimp paradox with a chimp.
Yeah, you shut that completely. So probably with a lot of fighters you'll talk to, they'll say, well, when I'm in the ring, when I'm feeling on it, when I'm in flow, that's because they've just shut everything down. And all the work they've done in the gym then comes out because they're not thinking, because they don't need to think, because you've done hundreds of hours of training. So why do all that training to have to think about it when you need it most? It doesn't make sense. And that the lack of performance comes from the overthinking. So
That's true, yeah.
So when I work with fighters, I'm teaching them how to get into flow and flow state. Transformational breath work, that does the same. And I came out of this hour session and I was like, where did I just go? It was amazing. It just sent me to, and I do it often now. And I was like, I have to learn how to do that with people. And it sends you.
How long do you have to do the breath work for? It can be anywhere up to like an hour.
So the longer sessions are about an hour and a half. Intentional breathing. So you're basically causing hyperventilation, but in a safe way. Breathwork's actually the safest. I mean, hypnotherapy is safe as well, but breathwork's one of the safest things. No one's ever had any severe bad reactions to it, compared to the alternative would be drugs, right? It's literally the same effect.
Apparently you can get into like a DMT state from doing breath work.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's, and the same with flow. So I think flow is matched on all levels of taking drugs, apart from spiritual awakening type thing. You meet a spirit or see something within that. But breath work and flow state do the same thing.
So how would you get into flow? You need to do breath work to get into flow, or can you just...
No, so breath work is one way, and it's really specific. And I think with breath work, it really shuts down the prefrontal cortex. So you're on like a high level of transient hyperfrontality, and you just go. So you get something called a lot of people get tetany, which is like a tingling in the arms and the legs. So you have to push through the pain. And again, this is why the athletes and entrepreneurship come in. So you'll be there pushing through the pain, and suddenly you just gone. You come back around, and you're just lying there.
Gone as in like blacked out, gone. Or are you actually still breathing and doing it while you're gone?
I've done like Wim Hof breathing techniques before, and I've had the tingling, but I haven't gone so far. It's like a 30-minute one.
Yeah, so
before getting an ice bath.
Yeah, so that's the tetany you get, and then you can take that further. Yeah, and when I say gone, it's more. So for me, it'd be a trance. It's what I'd go into a trance. So you've lost awareness, and then you'll come back round.
You're basically like in a drug state. Really.
Yeah.
But the original.
Yeah.
So rather than, and that was how we used to do things, right? That's the original, like using the human body in its own power naturally, rather than having to take something. And it's much safer. And then in that state, you come back around. But in that state, for transformational breath work, you're basically connecting the mind and the body. So especially as men, we store a lot in our body. So you've got energy, emotion, and we don't cry when we should cry. We're not fully happy when we should be happy, and you store it in your body. So in a session like that, the emotion comes up. So I've had people screaming, crying, laughing, and again, you just have to go with it. So you can't really feel it, and then suddenly you're laughing hysterically, or suddenly you're crying. It's just the body releasing everything you've allowed it to store. And actually, I think men in general, but men in the UK, we're really bad for like emotional availability. Just like even when you're out with your mates, it's like you'll laugh, but then when it gets to actually I'm suffering a bit at the moment and I want to tell my friend something, we overthink talking to the person. The person's probably going to accept that, so then we store it, and that becomes the problem. It's the constant storing, and things like breath work and hypnotherapy release that energy and trauma and sort of reconnect.
The English culture is a little bit different as well, in a sense of it's very laddie. So that type of thing's not accepted. But then you're gay. That's
Don't be gay, mate.
And then you're like, I'll go back to crying by myself.
Which is quite sad, to be fair. Yeah,
because Americans are more into getting a therapist and stuff like that. Like it's way more accepted in America, like even premarital counselling and stuff like that, whereas we don't really do it over here. It's a bit
and I do end up with more clients in America because it is more accepted, and it's like, well, I'll go and get a therapist, or I'll go and get a life coach, or I'll go and get a performance coach. Was here, it's seen as something you have to be a certain financial place to be able to afford. Not if I spend 5-6 grand over 6 months with a coach, what does that give me? What time does that save me? Where does that put me vis-a-vis me doing it myself? We sort of haven't quite got that link yet. Of if I said it's going to cost 5 grand to work for 6 months, but I'll save you 3 years, 4 years worth of trauma learning, and you'll progress more in your career, you'll have better relationships, you'll have a better relationship with your children. Therefore, is the value what you're thinking about it, or are you just looking at it as a monetary transaction rather than what it can bring you? And how that changes your life.
I feel like people don't look at it that way when they're investing in themselves.
No.
When they're buying a car or something, they'll look at it, this car I'll spend 10 grand because it will last me 4 years and it's nice. But when it's with themselves, they don't think they have to invest in themselves.
No, but with the car as an example, you're buying an asset that loses value.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, I'll spend all money in it and I'll feel good when I'm driving around. It's then the perception of somebody thinks I look good in my car. You don't really care. Yeah. And then you're losing money by doing that, but you won't spend money to develop yourself and actually become a better person and enjoy your life. Because when you do that, you don't even need the car. So
you probably buy 10. You don't know what position you'll be in. You might be able to get 10 cars.
Like you said, having the time back is worth the money anyway.
Time's everything.
Yeah.
But when you do get the time back and you can buy 10 cars, you won't want the car anyway.
No.
Yeah. So it's like, what world are we living in where
it's your wants and needs?
Yeah.
So why did you give up the business route then? Because I know you had a successful business. I think you sold it for 6 figures or...
Yeah, so I've gone for a bit of a strange time. I had business for 12 years. I had a business partner that just was supposed to do the operation side of it. Just was making my stress levels really high. It wasn't doing what he's supposed to be doing. So we just said, look, let's part ways. And I've only just basically finished doing that recently. It was quite a part of that. I had a company that I was bought out of. I basically said, right, I've given myself a bit of time. Let's start doing the coaching. That was about 9 months ago. But then I got offered an opportunity to be a sales director of a company in London. Did that for 6 months, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I am an entrepreneur, and this is what I try and tell to people: you don't choose to be an entrepreneur. It's just something inside you. So I was traveling up, working, looking at their business model, looking at what they're doing. They're like, you can do whatever you want, but what's the bare minimum you can do? I can't. So I literally last 6 months, and I've just literally last week said, right, I'm going back into doing purely 100%. I was still doing the coaching at that time.
Yeah.
I'm going back out completely by myself. So it's been a bit of a transition in the last 9 months. So I'm back in completely doing my own business, managing my own time, going to the gym when I'm going to go to the gym. It's like I have a real problem with going to the gym during peak hours.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm more concerned about that than I am about what money I'm earning.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds horrible.
It's horrible, though.
Horrible. Like I go to the gym at, like I'll finish with you guys. I'll drive straight back to the gym. It'll be empty. I'll get my workout done in less time. I've got now more time to spend with my family.
Yeah, you think
but that's because you like time.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. When you're working and you're working with someone and you're doing everything on these schedules, it's not your time.
No. And what I've realised, especially the last 9 months, is I actually work to my anti-vision, not my vision.
Could you explain that? Yeah.
So my anti-vision is to work 9 to 5, to not have control over my time, to not be able to put my kids to bed at night, to not be able to go on a holiday when I go on holiday, to be told I've only got 30 days holiday a year. That's my anti-vision.
Oh, so you're playing it, yeah.
You do what you don't want. You work towards.
And that's more powerful for me. Because if you tell me what I do want, well, I don't know really, do I?
Yeah.
No one really knows. You can say, well, I want to earn good money and I want to do this and do, but is that?
It's not a power. It's not a drive.
No, and it's not specific enough.
Yeah.
So I want to earn a lot of money.
That
what is a lot of
drive would
money?
scare me.
Yeah. It's what.
Yeah. It's scary, man. I want to get back out of work.
Yeah. And and then being in the pain.
That's how I feel at the minute.
Yeah, and
pain.
But that pain's more beneficial than anything else.
Yeah, of course.
Like I realised I look for the pain of this feels terrible to be in this position and I don't want to be here, and I remember that. So now I remember I was commuting up on a Tuesday. I was going to the gym 5 a.m, getting the gym done, driving up to Harlow, then staying over the night, coming back, missing my kids. I had someone, family relative dying during that time that I couldn't get back to see. I had my wife hurt her back and I couldn't get back to help. I was like, this is pain. I'm never doing this again.
I think Chris Williamson talked about it on Joe Rogan as well. He said people will make the trade of more money and less time than more time and less money.
Yeah.
And you have to balance out what actually makes sense. Like going for that promotion might not make sense if it's going to cost you more, because people don't also incorporate in the travel time into their day. I always say to people, I say, if you leave the house at 6, your day starts at 6.
Yeah.
So add that into your wage and then divide your wage over how long you've left the house to come back. People don't do that. They think, I'm getting an extra £50. Well, you're spending an extra 4 hours. That's £10 an hour. It's not that much. It's not worth it.
And the other end of that is, could you take a less role in the business you're working at that pays the bills, right? So you need to do that. But could you get up early and do your own thing? And what value would there be in that? I think it was Naval that said that in 50 years' time, he expects that every single person will have their own business. I.e., the way we're moving is that we should all be moving towards wanting and having our own business. So say we're in glazing, I've got someone that needs to install the work for me. They'll run their own business and I'll be paying them to do that work. So you'll still be doing the same thing.
But you'll be doing it for yourself.
Subcontracting.
Yeah,
sort of.
but then it gives you the power back. Because if that person says, I don't need you because you haven't done a good job, they've got the power to say, I don't want to work for you.
But is it for everyone?
It won't be. But I feel
Is
like
that
the
why
more
we
we
have-
go,
Is that why businesses and that exist? Because
I think businesses exist because we've been led to believe that we should be doing a certain thing, and we've been geared to work that way, right? From the Industrial Revolution, working in factories have led into school. School is revolved around the hours you're working in a factory. And we've basically carried on that, but now in offices. And we're not, I don't think as humans we're supposed to work 9 till 5. But if you're sat in an office 9 till 5, there's no way you're productive from 9 till 5.
No.
You might have a productive 90 minutes and then really need to go for a walk. You need to reset. But you can't do that because someone's paying. That's what I do now. I literally work 90-minute blocks, which has been proven to be the best way of getting in flow. I then go for a walk for half an hour. And I'll come back and I'm ready to go again. But if I had a job, like, where are you going? What are you doing? So I'm going for a walk. Wonder whose time are you going for a walk?
Yeah.
it's true though. Like you're less productive.
But that's why people take longer to do things, like you're talking about earlier, with you getting all your work done quickly, because that's how you're obviously wired. But people won't see it like that. They'll think, well, I'm here till 5, so I'll spread my whole day out.
Well, and that's because that's the indoctrinated mindset we have from school. That you must arrive at school at 8:30, you finish at 3, so you're almost doing 9 to 5 already. You take a lunch break when we tell you to eat a lunch break. You either have hot dinners or packed lunch. You've literally been mind controlled right from an early age. And you have to have a certain perception as you get older to realise what's happened, to break out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm quite with my children, I think if I get called in because they've done something, I mean, I'm trying to get them out of school full stop,
Yeah.
but we try and do things outside of, I'm not really worried about their grades. I'm more worried about the effort they're putting in. So if they get 1 mark, but I can generally see they've tried their hardest, that's going to be much more of a useful skill than it is great. You got a tick and you got an A. And now you're going to go to uni and get in debt, which is what I was taught to do. I paid my degree off like a few years ago, and I had a relevant degree that was related to a skill within construction. So you're taught to go to school, get in debt, go to uni, because uni's the only way of getting the real job that you're going to get, which is, I think we're realising now that's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
So then you get just put in this whole system which relates to 9 to 5. And I think if we can develop the mindsets of having our own control and actually having control over our destiny is the thing we all should be looking to do.
Yeah, because I always find it baffling with the schools when they fine you for taking them out before half term to go on holiday, and you get fined for that. And I'm just like, they're your kids.
Yeah.
You can do what you want with your kids. Like how can you get fined for that?
But then are they your kids?
Well, no, they're not. They're basically the government's
They're
kids.
states, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you don't do certain things, they can say, I'm going to take your kids away from you.
Yeah.
No, what do you mean? If you don't do certain things, they're going to take your house away from you.
Yeah. You don't own anything.
So
Yeah, it's control.
Yeah.
But people will never. That is a hard perception for people to comprehend, that they do not own anything. They have to. But then, like you said, that's how they've been indoctrinated everyone to think. You do own your car. You do own your house.
Yeah.
You do own your kids.
yeah, it is. Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah.
All I
It's,
can
like,
do
it's
is
very hard because it's deep government. It's so ingrained in the system.
Because them kids
That's
are an
so hard.
asset to the system. Like they're going to pay X amount of tax over their life.
They want my kids to work 9 to 5 in an office.
Yeah.
Because if too many of us say that we don't want to do that and we want to break free and do this and we want to look at doing it a different way. It's like I always say, if everyone was like me, I feel like we'd be at war. Because I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm doing it this way. Well, I'm not working that because why would I do it that way? Or
That's
I
what
can
I
do
feel like it is though. If you think different, it is a war.
Yeah.
Because majority of people just go with the flow. And the flow's, me personally, I don't think the flow's right. I think you should be doing what's best for you, not what's best for your company or what's best for this.
Yeah.
But you're outliers. It's not, you don't come by.
There's a small percent. Well,
Yeah.
you'll notice it with everyone you speak to. They might be the people who are getting away from it, but it is a small percentage of people.
Yeah, and ultimately tend to be my clients are the people that do think differently.
Yeah.
And I tend to probably attract them in. And then we're having conversations about, well, actually it's okay to think differently. The whole thing of, is it okay to be a man nowadays?
I think it's hard because you don't, know
think
who
it
to
is.
speak to.
No, it's difficult, but I've got 2 girls, so I see both sides of it now.
Yeah.
The pressure of, can I be a man and can I be myself? And I've got 2 girls now, so I have to attach my sensitive side for them, but actually I need to make sure I'm in touch with my masculine side so they can actually see what being a man looks like.
Yeah.
And I have to protect and provide and do all those things. So I'm quite...
Is it hard to have girls?
It can be.
Because it's a different dynamic.
It can be. My eldest she's probably more tomboy, so she'll go out in the garden and she wants me to kick a football with her, and she'll spend an hour kicking a football with me. So I get that play side of it. I don't necessarily think that's a boy or a girl thing. But the dynamic's tricky because you have to think, if that thing makes me angry, I think the dynamic of being a man is that you do have a level of aggression. But we're being taught that we shouldn't have a level of aggression that I don't agree with. I think we should have a level of aggression, but just learn to control it. But that's also the real world. So if you're trying to control who you are too much because they're girls, and then they go out into the real world and there is going to be people that have no control over that at all, then actually is it my job to teach them what's right or wrong? Like, I'm getting them in jiu-jitsu as soon as I can. Like, I want them to be able to, they're in a position, I want them to be able to snap someone's arm and get out of that situation. I'm more concerned about
the dangers.
Like what is real.
It'd be good for their mindsets, especially young, the confidence level.
But I think that's how the difference between men and women, though. Men do think of danger a lot
The fight.
in situations. Yeah, like even if you're walking down the road with your girlfriend, you're always thinking like, well, are we safe? Is this... Because they would walk down... This is the thing with women, though. They would walk down an alley because they expect that something shouldn't happen to them. And I'm like, yeah, something shouldn't happen to you, but we know that there's people out there who will do it. They don't think... They don't have rules. They don't think like that. So I wouldn't walk down an alley, but a girl would walk down an alley, and I'm like, well... I'm way stronger than you, way bigger than you. Probably nothing's going to happen to me and I wouldn't do it. So why would you do it? But that's the different dynamic of the way the two people think.
That's also the world we live in now, though.
Yeah.
So my wife will say, I should be able to wear what I want, do what I want, and go where I want on a night out. And I say, I 100% agree.
But we've never lived in that world.
No, but you can't. You can't do that. So why are we having this conversation?
Because we still got... But I don't understand when they say it, because we've never lived in a world where it's ever been like that. You can do what you want.
But that's the new mindset we're bringing in.
Yes.
Okay, well...
You're going to get burned.
Yeah, but then they're pushing the men to be like, well, you have to... This is responsibility is on you. So the responsibility is on the men. So most of the normal men are going, now I'm worried about talking to a woman if I'm single.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole thing about like... And then it's like, well, then the men aren't going to be chatting to girls, getting girlfriends. They then become self-inclusive. They get mental health problems. They then hate women because you've told them this one thing and put all the pressure on them when they were just a normal guy in the first place.
Yeah, they're being brainwashed a little bit, the men are. Did you watch Adolescence?
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
It's good. It's well shot, but it's quite I feel like you need to watch it like 6 or 7 times to really like take in. So I've watched it once, and it's a hard one because obviously if he didn't do it, you'd be able to say this is the pressure of what happens, but he did do it. So it's like there's no excuse for that, and you then can't. You'd have to make assumptions on the upbringing and the parents, and then you're then going into the school system. So you could say, well, you could blame it on the school system, the way the school system operates, where it's sort of control and putting people in. Would that happen in a more natural environment where humans can be humans? That's my take on it. Would that happen if we weren't pushing kids into being in a certain way and being controlled? I think there's so many ways you can look at it.
What did you think of the overall messaging about the masculinity, though, about toxic masculinity?
I don't even understand toxic masculinity.
No, I think the trouble is the way they've done it with the boy killing the girl. It's almost like it's made it hard for you as a man to say what you really think, because at the end of the day there was a murder committed. So it's almost like the program was good, but you have to be careful what you say because the kid murdered a girl. So no matter what happened before, that happened, and that's the bit that's wrong.
Yeah,
it's almost like narcissism. Of like the person's there and they're quiet and they're behind the scenes and they're on your shoulder and they're going boom, 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 and you're the one that snaps. So it's your fault because you reacted to all the things that went on beforehand. That's sort of what it makes me think of like the quiet person that pushes and stirs, but they do it behind the scenes, and you're the one that explodes. So now you're the person in the wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that in relation to that, but just it makes me think of that scenario of like,
Is Adolescence on a true story?
No, they're saying it's based on a load of true stories, but it's not. It's a fictional documentary. But then when the conservative woman, they asked her, oh, have you seen it, that Kemi Badenoch? She was like, no, I've not watched it because it's a fictional documentary and I've got more important things to do with my time. She got hounded for it.
Yeah.
So, but then when people then said, well, they thought it was based on the stabbing in London with the black guy who killed the girl. And then they were like, well, you've used a white actor with a black thing. And they said, no, it's a fake documentary. So they're just spinning it whatever way they want to, depending on the pushback.
Nothing really.
they're just getting reactions either way.
Yeah. And then they're saying it's not or it is. Yeah,
they've done what they had to do.
It did cause a massive divide.
Yeah.
I've not watched it, no.
Yeah, it's
But I think the main message for me personally is the way that they're shaping masculinity, like what we touched on. And they're making men afraid to be men, or making men afraid to do this. Like it is a weird time. You've seen it a lot with the Andrew Tate thing when he come through, but he did go extra with some of the stuff he said.
Yeah.
But some of his messaging was correct as well, if you can sit through it long enough to sort of delve through what he's saying.
Yeah.
So it's
yeah, I don't disagree with. I'd say 50% of what he says I'm on board with, and then he just pushes it too far. But he's doing that for the attention.
I think because he's sort of like a comedian, and he can have banter, and he's a comedian. Problem is, I don't think you can have like a serious message, and then in this day and age, you can't have a joke. We don't sort of live in that era where you can sort of have a little bit of banter and have a joke about something because you're going to get attacked.
Yeah, it's
a fine line.
Yeah.
You either got to be serious or you got to be a comedian.
But we're even the way we're talking about it now, we're sort of, you can tell we're all thinking about what we're saying before we say it.
yeah.
Treading on ice.
It's true. I'm not gonna lie. I fuck with Tate. I actually do like Tate, but like you said, I think most people can watch something and go, "You never agree with everyone on every issue."
I think it's what you got to. It's not. Sometimes you can't just listen to people. You need to listen deeply, and maybe like if you watch podcasts of him on certain people's podcasts, on business podcasts and stuff like this, you might gain a different perspective on what he's actually like, not on you watching him or watching a 10-second clip. I hate when people, they don't really like look deeply into something. They just want to take a 10-second clip and sort of like, oh, but I think this and I think this. Why don't you go actually watch something? It's the same for politics.
Yeah.
A got you moment. Everything's like a got ya.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, but I only want to listen to this, and this is gospel. But it's like, well, there's two sides to the story. Maybe listen to everything and then get the information and then see what you want to do with it.
Yeah, and that's society in general. Like, we should, if I'm a friend of somebody, or if I'm having a conversation, like we're having a conversation now, and I disagree with what you're saying, that doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean that I'm going to walk away and be like, oh, never talking to these people. Why can't there be a disagreement about something whilst being like non-judgmental to that person?
Yeah.
It's like it's like we have to be one way or another. And if you think different to me, I hate you.
Yeah.
That's
like
not normal.
Yeah, no, it's not
It's
normal.
like left
No.
or right. You're either left or right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the middle ground, white flag.
That's the same with masculinity, right? It's being in the middle. It's being aggressive when you need to be aggressive, being assertive when you need to be assertive, but understanding the level of the aggressiveness. If I'm with my wife and some guy comes up to us and it's threatening, she expects me to stand in front of her. I, therefore, in that situation, need to be aggressive to assert authority of that situation. The level of my aggressiveness is down to me, but she'll stand behind me. But then at home, if I get annoyed about something, I'll be like, well, you can't be annoyed about that. It's what you've provoked and pushed. And so you can't have both.
Yeah.
You can't, it's the whole, take the bins out because you're the man, but also be emotional.
Yeah.
And cry. So you want me to do a blue job, as it gets called.
Yeah. Might as well just be a woman, dress up.
So am I being a man, or do you want me to be, what do you want me to be?
Yeah.
And then you'll then question your own identity. So just actually just be who you are and tell everyone else to fuck off, basically.
What do you actually think with the message on male emotion and that they need to show emotion all the time and express themselves all the time? Do you think for people who you work with and what you think success is, do you actually think they should or they shouldn't?
I think we've gone so the opposite way. It's now become a problem because we're not talking about mental health. It's like, well, you don't want to go in the office and start crying at the office at a meeting because someone said something you don't agree with. That's not going to get you anywhere. But being able to maybe, let's take a meeting as an example, have someone frustrate you in a meeting. But at the end of the day, acknowledge that and be able to deal with that by the end of the day. I think that's where the emotion has to come out. Okay, but so we're talking about breathwork, example. Okay, well, I do a big breathwork session once a month, and I always do that because that deals with any emotion I've had through that month, and that might be your way of dealing with it. Or being able to talk more openly about things. But again, in the UK, like we discussed, that can be hard because it's like, I don't want to hate about that. I want to talk about football. Like you sound like my wife.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think we have to be more accepting to talk in more depth as men. But then maybe it's not about, I think the perception of emotion is crying. And I think that's wrong. Like emotion is happiness, sad, crying, like neutral. It's accepting. And so there's a thing where apparently when you feel an emotion, if you sit with it for 90 seconds, it's only 90 seconds, you actually let the emotion pass through your body. Sometimes you're not going to have that 90 seconds. But when you feel sad, if you're in the gym, you get away with sadness and in between sets, just sit with it for 90 seconds and then carry on. That's a much more efficient way of dealing with emotion than it is to be like, I'm in the gym, is anyone looking at me?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure most men have watched something or listened to something or had a memory and felt like a tear of emotion come up. And then we go, oh, I can't feel it. Like, what am I doing? But just sitting with that for 9 seconds and letting that tear come out, like that's also all right.
Yeah.
So I think it's just we always take everything to extremes, don't we? So if you can be emotional, you have to cry. You have to. Why are you watching that program and not crying? So I just, that's all right.
Yeah.
It's whatever works for you. I just think as long as you're not bottling it up, I think that's the main thing for me.
Yeah.
Not overanalyzing emotion, and because then you get stuck with being a man. A man shouldn't show emotions. Well, who says a man shouldn't show emotions? Is not aggression, not an emotion. So it's just trying to put it all together.
Yeah. Balancing the scale back. It probably will swing back around because we'll go too far this way and then it will come back to centre and then we'll go too far the other way.
I think we've got to come back quickly because male mental health, it's like we all hear about it and we all know it's a problem. But do we know it's a
I
problem?
think mental health in general is just a big problem. And if you're anything, you'd like to say it's on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Massive.
But why do you think? Is that it's because we're just not in... Well, you're quite big into self-development. Do you reckon that has a big role to play?
Cheap dopamine. So one of the first things I do with clients is, what do you do when you get up in the morning? Most people, I grab my phone. Okay, well, straight away you're affecting your day. Like we actively seek cheap dopamine. It basically means therefore we stop getting dopamine from the things that we shouldn't actually get dopamine from, because we're wired to look for likes on social media. We're wired to get the quick message or the response, or we're wired to look for emails. So I think rebalancing that, and phones and AI is only going to add to that, isn't it? Or maybe it can take away from it if we can use AI to do certain things we don't have to do, like maybe respond to emails you don't need to respond to, things like that. It might actually mean you can be on your phone less. But so getting up in the morning is like, don't check your phone as soon as you get up in the morning. Do you actually need your phone by your bed? Do you need to charge your phone at night? Could you charge it in the evening before you go to bed, leave it fully charged and leave it downstairs? Get up, like gratitude, something I do every single morning. That's literally changes your brain pattern, changes your thinking. So then you're saying, okay, we'll get up in the morning. Before you get up, just sit with your eyes closed 2 minutes and just sort of decompress, meditate for 2 minutes. Get in the shower, have an affirmation, sort of start telling yourself positive things of, it doesn't have to be like, I am great, and but like, I am capable is much better. And then for me, I know everyone, the whole cold thing is sort of, everyone blasts about it, but I'll end my shower with a cold shower, more because I don't want to do it. And as soon as I've had that thought, I don't want to do it, I'm like, I have to do it now.
Yeah.
It's almost like a game. And it's just then as I do it, I've just proven to myself I can do hard things. That's the hardest part of my day usually. Just turning the shower to the cold in. And now rather than picking up my phone, going, oh, I don't want to get out of bed. Oh, I've had a notification. I wonder what this person's saying, this person. Like you're blowing your mind up before you even start the day. And then you wonder why you're anxious, stressed. You wonder why you're not feeling happy. Like just go for a walk without your phone. We just don't do normal human things anymore. We shouldn't be sat. I think the average person's like 7 hours a day on their phone. It might even be more than that. That's crazy. 7 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seen my mates the other day. It was like 13 hours.
That's mental. That's more. So you're on your phone longer than you sleep.
If you're scrolling
With some of the trading stuff as well, you can get.
I think
you
when
can
I
get
was
high. Like I had some high numbers because if I'm on the Zooms on my phone, because I use my phone for everything, Zoom calls, everything, and it can. But then a lot of that time was wasted time staring at it when I didn't need to even be on it.
Yeah.
Because you get sucked in. It's like like you said, if you do it from the morning, you actually get sucked into the pattern of just picking up your phone and going on it when you don't even need to.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, I definitely lost myself. I think I was doing 18 hours.
18
on like 3 nights. I weren't sleeping properly, and I've always been into health, fitness. So I'd wake up, read, stretch, get a shower.
Yeah.
That was like sort of my normal thing. And I started trading, and for some reason I went down a route of doing more, and I thought I had to be a bit degenerate, so I was staying up late. I was doing more things, and in turn I lost everything that I stood for, and I lost everything. And now restarting again, I've started to go back to the morning routines in the way how I actually like the routine, and I realise how much better I feel.
Yeah.
It's actually day and night. Like I was turning gambly. I was getting gambly. I wasn't even going by my principles. It was just, I just felt gambly. And like I said, the last month going back to who I actually am, I'm like, I can't believe I got lost. With everything that I've done.
Double dopamine though, weren't you?
Oh,
you
man,
were dopamine with the phone, and then you're trading, and if you get a good trade,
horrible.
you're then connecting it all up to the reward.
Yeah. But then while at the same time thinking that more is good, when actually less is better.
Yeah.
The less I do, the better I trade, the better I function. And like I said, you have to do it for you. Your health's more important. When you feel on top, everything else will work out.
You definitely have to have non-negotiables.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll have clients that come in and we put the non-negotiables in. They'll come back to me and say, I've done this. And I say, well, what are you doing? Well, I'm not doing any of the non-negotiables. I was like, just go back to your non-negotiables.
I said the only thing I did was train, but I feel like if you're someone like that, like me, who trains a lot, that can get a bit numb. It's the steps, it's the after steps, the sleeping. I think sleeping was the most important. You need your 7 hours, 8 hours. I need that sleep because that's going to make me function a lot better.
It's
and having a routine.
The tracking, like I've had this for probably a Whoop strap.
I've never
6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I've never tracked. You don't feel like you get a little bit addicted to tracking? Sometimes you're a little bit like, what I'm fucking.
I don't know.
I'm missing.
I think you could, but like I can almost guess what my recovery is going to be now. So for me, it's maybe more in touch with my body, because I can wake up in the morning and this one's like, I wonder what my recovery score is today. Like, okay, well I feel this. Maybe I feel a bit tired, or maybe it's about 60 something. Maybe it's about 70, and you start guessing how your body feels, and you adapt your day to how your body feels. But otherwise, how would you know the quality of your sleep?
No, you don't.
So it's like you can, I don't know, it can be addictive, but for me, I think some things are good habits and addictions. It's like the gym, in the context you were talking about, is because it's a habit for you. Yeah,
it was more of just like I can get up and go, where a lot of people would be like, oh, that's a struggle. It's like,
and
that's a non-negotiable for me. Like
so that's and it's more of an identity.
Yeah.
Where some people, and I'm the same in the gym. I've been going since I was probably like 13, 14. I used to get taken after school. My mum used to go to the gym. And I sat outside squash courts since I was 7. That's just normal. So it'd be, for me, it's weird not to go. It doesn't matter how I feel, I'm going to the gym. So it's then, this is what that's sort of become. I just leave it on and I check. I mean, it wakes you up with things like alcohol.
Yeah, I don't touch it.
It's just, you have, I got to a point where I don't drink very much at all. But you have 1 pint and you look at your recovery and you're like, Jesus.
Oh, is that bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
horrendous.
Yeah, like the sleeping. just in general?
The quality of the sleep,
Yeah.
depth of sleep, the disturbances, the lowering of the heart rate variability, which obviously then is linked to parasympathetic nervous system. So whether you're sympathetic or parasympathetic, whether you're stressed, so you wake up feeling stressed, heart rate's probably increased, heart rate variability's decreased, you've had less sleep, and you're like, I had 1 pint.
Yeah.
And when you start seeing that, it gives you a bit of a, like,
Yeah. Is it worth having this drink for how I'm going to feel?
so then, like, I tend to drink more on occasions. So if I'm going to a wedding, again, but that is the UK. I'm not even out of that mindset sometimes. It's like when I go to this wedding, I've got people around me, everyone's drinking. It's one wedding. Am I going to be? Everyone knows I'm like the mindset, wellness, health guy, but I still want to like enjoy my friend's company. So I might limit it to say 4 pints, but that 4 pints still will put me on a 1% recovery. Unless that's red on Whoop. So you wake up and you're like, Jesus, and you can feel it. So I do think the tracking is...
It's a good thing.
Yeah. Even steps.
Yeah.
Try and get in 10,000 steps a day. When I'm working with clients who want to lose weight. Because I think as much as I'm a mindset coach, so I talk about rewire and rebuild. So rewiring the mind and rebuilding the body. Because I don't think you can have the mind about the body and body about the mind. I think they go hand in hand. But just by walking 10,000 steps a day, you're trying to lose weight.
I don't think people understand the power of walking.
No.
Just walking alone.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah, the world's a different place when you get back.
Because it's with walking, it's not like it makes you hungrier, if that makes sense. So sometimes if you go gym, you can train too hard,
Yeah.
which in turn you come back home and you want to consume more calories.
Yeah.
Whereas with walking, it's sort of so gradual that you're more like steady throughout the day, if that makes sense.
I think we're designed to walk.
Yeah.
And if you're out and walk in nature and you listen to the birds and you just switch off. And it's probably a lot of people probably get into flow state when they're walking, and you'll just come back home and be like, oh, just a different mindset. And then flow creates flow. So the more you do things where you get into a flow state, the more you're able to get into flow.
A lot of people that go walking, though, they'll be on their phone the whole time they're walking.
Yeah, that's a bit.
And then that's when it's like counter.
Yeah, it's good that you're walking.
Yeah.
But do you need... I'll have my phone with me more because I find the shower and a walk, it'll be like with my thoughts and driving, actually. So I'm always on like voice noting. I'll just get like a thought like, oh, that'd be a good tweet or that'd be a good post, or didn't think of connecting that to that. Or I hear a quote or something. Sometimes I listen to a podcast when I'm walking.
Yeah.
So I use it for like a note taking. But yeah, I do see some people like... I'm like
You just see them walking and they're just like...
So do you have all your clients train? That's a must.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, unless there's...
Unless they can't.
But I just don't think there's a reason people can't in some form. Unless I had... Yeah, most of my clients are entrepreneurs, are athletes, so they generally don't have a reason not to be able to train. I can't think of many reasons why someone can do some form of training. Unless, you're in a wheelchair, you've had a leg amputated, but even then you'll go online, you'll see people squatting one-legged.
Yeah.
We watched a guy the other day. We watched that guy do high rocks, didn't he? Didn't he have one leg?
Yeah.
He had one leg.
One leg done high
So
rocks.
it's like you can find an excuse not to do it.
Yeah.
And most people say, yeah, you've got one leg, 100% that goes to the gym. Someone else will say, no, that I'm going to do it despite of that. And again, it's the mindset side of things.
It says on your Instagram you work with men who look successful on the outside, but they're missing something.
Mm-hmm.
What drew you to them and what draws them to you? Like, why did you go down that
was me.
route? Yeah.
Yeah, that's been me a lot. In terms of when I was running my business, I was 29, successful, nice car, nice watch, all the rest of it. Everyone's like, well, you must be doing really well. On the inside, I'm getting up in the morning, stressed, having panic attacks over emails, like trying not to take calls, putting out fires. So then everyone thinks because of the materialistic side of things that you're doing well, but then internally you're just in a world of pain.
Do you see the same sort of problems for them when you scrape the surface?
Most high performing entrepreneurs have got that problem, because this is where we talk about balance. Is they're so all in, and it'll be athletes as well. They're so all in on the sport. They're so all in on the business. They then forget about the relationships. Athletes tend to be better with sleep and wellness and things because it links more. Entrepreneurs are terrible. The amount of entrepreneurs that don't sleep properly, don't eat properly.
Because they just feel like doing a task at hand is the most important thing.
Yeah, they don't no active recovery, no recovery. They don't work out, and they're not connecting those things to help them perform better.
It's crazy how like it's like so simplistic, but you get wrapped.
Mm-hmm.
And you just get lost.
Yeah,
It's because you just keep everything in the mind. It's like there's loads of weeds that just need.
Do you feel like journaling's good as well?
yeah.
Or are you not massive into it?
I do journal. I less journal. I just thought dump is what I call it sometimes. I just in the morning I'll be like, but I write. So I post on Twitter every day. Like I write threads, and I've got a newsletter. So I feel like I get my
You probably get yours
outlet from that. Sometimes it's like even yesterday. I've just started doing my coaching again, and I'm talking to people on LinkedIn. I was like, oh, this is hard. This is tough. It's like, should I just go all in on something else? So I'm even second guessing myself. And then I'm sat there and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to write about this, because actually by me now putting this thought on paper, I can help people that are going to be where I am yesterday to say, well, this is what I did, is how I got through it. I'm quite good that I can quickly flip my mind around, but I still get the same thoughts everyone else gets. It's just I'm able to catch myself. It's I think a quote that helped me yesterday was, all greatness comes from suffering. So I read that about 10 times.
Yeah.
It's all right. I'm back on it now. Got it. I just needed that. But I'm able to do that myself, where people will just dig that hole, and they just need someone to reframe the way they're thinking. But that's growth and fixed mindset as well. Like if you believe you can change, you believe you can do more, you can. If you don't, you can't.
It's funny how it just all stems from mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think's the mind.
What's the biggest mindset trap that the high achieving fall into?
Taking on more. Like more is more. It just isn't. It's like I'll take on that extra thing. I'll do that thing. I'll work harder. I'll do more marketing. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll take on an extra thing. Actually, often you need subtraction. And high performers are really like just more. And then they burn out. Then they fail to look after their health. So actually saying no is probably the most powerful thing you can learn to do.
And that's hard.
Yeah. Especially when you see opportunity.
Alex Hormozy talks a lot about that. About deals.
Yeah.
Deals he gets. He's like, yeah, I might get £1 million, but he's like, is it going to be the right deal? And what comes with the deal?
Leave money on the table.
Yeah. Am I going to leave money on the table? Just because it looks lucrative and it looks attractive, it's not always going to be attractive.
And it pulls you out of where you're going. And I've done that loads of times.
It's the greed.
Yeah. It's again, it's cheap dopamine. It's because I think when you start something new, it's easier because you get the reward and the excitement of doing something new. And then you get into that new thing, and it's just as hard as the other things you're doing. You're like, well, I might as well just stay where I wasn't in the first place, because it's all the same hard. It's just like, pick your hard and just stick to it. I think that's the toughest thing to do.
Yeah, sticking it out. It's because when, like you said, when it gets hard, you don't want it. Like sometimes it reminds you of, you ever see the picture of the guy digging for gold?
Yeah.
And one guy gives up, and then the other guy is so
It's
close.
just
It's
really
like you just
there,
need to keep digging.
Yeah. And that picture's great, but you just don't know whether it's the gap.
Yeah.
You just don't know what that gap is. And it's like, I'm trying to push the coaching again. I've got clients, but I'm pushing on social media, and I just like, I've got to post daily on social media, and it's like, is this the...
It's a grind.
Yeah. And I've got to do that to do the thing I'm good at, to attract the people, but that's its own job. And then once I eventually get a client, I've actually got to do my job of helping them.
Yeah.
But I've still got to be doing the thing all the time to keep attracting the clients.
So this is what I mean. If you said this to a lot of average people, do you want to do this? Like what you're just explaining all now, that's too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why should I do it?
Biggest crime is comparing yourself to average, because average is so low now. The concept of average just shouldn't even... That's one thing I'd say to my clients, like, forget about anything average. the bar for average is horrendous now. It's not even worth being like, oh, I do more than the average person, so I even got to get up in the morning to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're so lazy.
It's true.
It's like Dana White says it, doesn't he? He says it's like the easiest time to do whatever you want to do because people are so lazy.
Yeah. And they want everything handed to them for free. And at the moment, I'm in a place where I just get myself posting on social media one day. Then you listen to Alex Hormozy, and he's like, I post 450 times a week.
But he's got a great team, and he's built the infrastructure. Yeah.
How do you counteract it with yourself? Because I sort of go through that as well when you start comparing. So like you'll see, you'll be doing, your goal is once a day, his goal is he's doing 400, and you get sucked into that, oh, I need to be doing it exactly like him. Like, how do you sort of balance it?
I think goal setting is something that 99% of the population do wrong. Because I'll see Hormozy and you'll go, oh, well, I need to post 450. How do I get to 450? We haven't worked out how to get to 1 yet. So, but like, set your 450 as your 3-year goal, and then work backwards from there. And how do you get to that point? But then make sure you've got all of your goals aligned. And most people just have no idea about how to set goals properly. Most people don't have an end goal. Just like, I want to do this thing, but why? What's the end goal? What are you changing by doing the thing you're doing? And I think so. It's, I refer to it as an MTP, which is your massively transformational purpose. So, what is your massively transformational purpose? So, mine might be to help 1 million men overcome mental health problems. And then everything steps back from that. Now I'm talking about an actual, real big goal. And then suddenly
like a
posting.
mind map, and then you're like coming back on yourself.
Yeah, then I'll go 10-year goal, then I'll go 5-year, then I'll go 3, then I'll go 1, and then I'll go 6 months, and I'll go monthly, and I'll go weekly, and then I'll go daily. And each day you're reviewing that day. Does that day relate back to the end goal? If you don't do that, you're going to get lost quite quickly. Because what is your passion? What's your purpose? Why are you doing what you're doing?
So having a plan, actually having a plan of getting to where you want to get to.
But it has to be aligned with you. Because sometimes we'll say, oh, well, Hormozy's doing this and he's posting 450 a time, and then that will influence your thought. So what is your version of success?
How do you go and find your version in your head? Because you know everything's just noise. Is it doing all the techniques you spoke about, or finding someone like yourself? Like, how do you actually simmer it down to find you?
I think it starts with like starting to be comfortable with yourself and actually having the time to allow yourself to think. Because like I said, most people are picking up their phone, get in the shower. They're probably like, how many people get in the shower and they've got like a Facebook clip scrolling as they're in the shower?
The other day, someone in the shower and they were just like scrolling. I was like,
Scrolling in the shower?
Yeah, when I was watching his YouTube, I was like, that's even a thing.
Or you might leave it on the side and it's just playing, or the same clips playing and playing and playing and playing.
I feel like it's just non-stop escape. We're not even in touch with who we are.
And then how can you expect to find your passion and purpose if you can't even give your brain the capacity to think by itself? It's just not going to happen. And now AI, if you know Dan Coe he's quite big on sort of self-help growth, quite big on he's just big everywhere now. But he did an article the other day about people are now not reading books because they can get a summary via AI.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
Because like you're missing the point.
I read the book because it's hard.
Yeah, and also your way of reading that book and the thoughts it generates for you are authentic. So you're now getting a summary probably from someone else's summary, and then you don't read the book and you've missed the whole connection, the creativity.
And there's something in that book that you might, personal, that might, like you said, that might be just for you that you'll take out of it.
Yeah, because
won't get.
Some guy built a business model in that way. He basically just summarised all books, and you can basically just buy his app, and then it's summarised. But then that's what you think. You ain't gonna read it.
I mean, it's okay. Let's say I'm going to a meeting, I really need to know about a book, and I forgot to do it. Okay, there might be times where it could be used, but in terms of find your passion, find your purpose, connecting the dots, you have to do the work. And no machine or AI is going to help you find. It can make your life easier once you know where you're going, but you've got to put in some work.
What is there any books you recommend people buying, or that really helped you?
Angela Duckworth Grit, Flow, Me Highlight Cheeks Ain't High. I'm pretty sure I said that right, but that's a good book. Stephen Kotler, I like. I think his book's A Rise of Superman. That's a good book. But they're quite... I like...
Are these like books to study and read again?
Yeah.
Read
Yeah,
again.
they sound in depth.
Yeah, they're sort of like more science-based, like real, like you can take things and actually use them. But they change the way you think, like grit, as we discussed earlier. Like a lot of people say, well, I'm motivated today, but it's grit is a determining factor for success. And that book just explains it to you, and they analyze different people, and they look at children, and it's like the whole thing with children is you can have this sweet now. If you wait 5 minutes, you can have 2 sweets. Well, that's grit. That's determination. Because then if I go, now you've had the 2, you can have 3. Now you've had 3, you can have 4. Like, how long can you get your child to delay the reward? Because they're understanding, the more they delay it, the reward becomes bigger. But how many of us in adult terms want that 1 sweet right now? But if I said to you, post something now and you'll get 500 likes today, or post 100 times and the 100th one will go viral. But that's 100 days of work you've got to post daily. But that 100th one will go viral. That will change your life. Most people will not get to the 100.
No.
Or even though you know. And I feel like I would get to the 100, but it'd be a battle. I'd be like, I've got to just do it. Just got to do anything today. Just post it. So even like today, I knew I was driving, so I had to make sure before I went to bed last night, I posted because I'm on a daily thread on X, I always call it Twitter, but X to grow, because I'm finding I'm getting good growth on there.
Yeah.
And I like writing. And in my head, I said I was going to make sure I did it for 30 days. And I made sure I stayed up yesterday to get it done today, scheduled it today, so I know it's going to go off, it's scheduled to go. If I hadn't done that, so I travelled, stopped off, got a coffee, spent time with you guys, got back to the gym, got home, had my dinner, put the kids to bed.
Yeah, good time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, am I going to do it? And it's those little decisions. It wasn't that much. And I did it. It was like, I literally did 10 quotes that changed my life.
It's like you're taking the thinking process out of it.
Yeah.
It's just programmed.
It's systems, isn't it? It's like James Clear says something about we don't fail to our habits, or we fail to our systems, something along those lines. I put that quote in the post today. I just forgot what it was. But it's about putting the systems in place. It's not about systemizing your life. It's about having systems in place, i.e. the way you set your goals, the way you track your day. Do you time block? Do you set a timer? Do you have non-negotiables? They're your systems. And you fail to those. So spend time putting good systems in place.
What's the first step someone could take today? Like if there's someone listening, what and they're in this bracket, what could they do today to start it off for them?
I'd say the mornings is an easy win. Just put your phone in a different room. Gratitude in the morning. Just make the first 90 minutes of your day. And if you're going to tell me, oh yeah, but I use my phone to get an alarm, buy a £10 alarm on Amazon, stop giving me silly excuses. And that's the way I coach people. I'm quite like
direct.
It's probably why I work with men as well, more than not. Like, I'm quite. It's just, I think the way my brain works does geared more towards that masculine of like, don't give me an excuse, go and buy an alarm for £10. Men tend to be like, okay. And that's why the athletes and the high performers tend to do that. But go and get an alarm, put your phone in a different room, get up in the morning, have a shower, no phone, gratitude, just write down 3 things that you're grateful for today that happened yesterday. Like that alone, doing that solidly for 30, 60 days, suddenly start changing your outlet. I mean, that's quite a basic, simple thing, but that's the thing I get to do.
Yeah.
I'll get some clients coming and be like, oh, I've struggled to do 3 things. I said, next week do 5 things. Like, what do you mean? I couldn't do 3 things. I said, so you need to do 5 things. And we'll just keep increasing it. It's like, well, could you be, you've got a coffee today and the barista serving you said, how are you today? Could you be grateful for the fact that person, whether they meant it or not, asked you how you were and it made you stop? Could you have reacted to that differently? Can you be grateful to that person saying, how are you? Yes. Could I have asked them, how are they? And you start changing the way you think. So then someone says, how are you? So I'm good, thank you, how are you? And you mean it. But because you meant it, they then stop. Maybe they have a conversation. Maybe that conversation changes your life. It's just little tiny...
It's little things.
Yeah, like I've met people at the randomest of times just by, I just think, just being open to like the awareness of not putting my head down. And for me, that stems from gratitude, and it literally is scientifically proven to change like neuroplasticity, the way your mind and brain works, because we're inherently geared to look for negativity. So I might park around the corner. I'm inherently thinking, am I too far on the curb? Am I not on the curb? Is my car okay here? Have I left enough space here or there? Rather than just, it's fine there. It's like, why do you need all those thoughts in between? And doing things like gratitude helps sort of get rid of all the negative thoughts.
Yeah, you do. Do you know what?
Is that instinctual though? Like primitive?
Yeah, it's the caveman mind, as I was explained to most of my clients, in terms of, look, everything to us is a bear chasing us, life or death. But the reality is it isn't anymore. So you have to dial that down, which is where things like gratitude come in. But a lot of that's subconscious. And so when I do hypnotherapy, I'm working on the subconscious, breathwork, working on subconscious. The subconscious is 95% of the mind. So you got the 5, which is the conscious, which is us chatting. But the way we're breathing, reacting, taking in the words, that all comes subconsciously, and that's developed from 0 to 7 years old. So unless you work on that, you're never going to change that. So that, yeah, there is a lot of primitive instinct in what we do. But if you're aware of it, at least you can start changing it. But gratitude really helps with that. And that's like a real simple thing that anyone could start. They could get up in the morning and start doing that. We could do it right now. Just do it in the evening as well.
And it makes sense why you, like you said, you work with athletes and entrepreneurs, because the mindset's already there. Have you ever worked with people before that haven't had a mindset, or they struggle?
Yeah, I can't name names, but
obviously you can't name names.
I have worked with a couple of fighters. I could tell they were going to lose. That's the best way I can put it. Just they. So I did an interview with Tom Aspinall about 18 months ago, and he's like, "Yeah, I do this. I've got a hypnotherapist, and like we're just chatting all about different things he does." And so then you're an amateur with potential to get far. You've got natural ability, and you hear Tom Aspinall say, "I do hypnotherapy." So you then think, "Well, I must have to do hypnotherapy."
So what is hypnotherapy?
So hypnotherapy is a change therapy that works on the subconscious mind. So I will suggest to your subconscious new ways of thinking, new patterns, new thoughts, new beliefs.
Like auto-suggestion.
Sort of. There's some correlation there. With hypnotherapy, it's more of I will do something called an induction.
Because you always think of hypnotherapy is like you're getting hypnotized. Is it?
So you are getting hypnotized.
Okay.
But there's a problem with hypnotists and hypnotherapists. So hypnotist would be Darren Brown, and he's doing it for show. So then people get a bit scared of it. So, well, he can make me clap like a chicken. He can make me do things I don't want to do.
And can he actually do that?
Yeah.
It's just, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was real or not. I was always thinking, are they playing?
Yeah, no, it is. So
it's a powerful thing he can do.
Yeah. And some people are more suggestible. So he'll do something called a suggestibility test. Does little things like I can get someone to close their eyes, and I can talk to you about having a book in one hand and a hot air balloon in the other. And some people open their eyes and their hands are really low and really high. Just means they're susceptible to hypnosis. So when I'm working with a client, it's obviously in a completely different setting, whereas like we're talking about trust and talking about change. But we'll go to an induction, which is basically a technique to bypass your conscious mind to allow you to go into a trance. Drawing a trance is where we can access the subconscious, and the subconscious is developed around 0 to 7 years old. So it might be your mum said something to you not the quite right way when you were 6 years old, and that stuck in your mind and made you think that you're not good enough. And it might not be, your mum might not have said you're not good enough, but it might be you can't do that. And it's just the way your brain took it at that time. We then mostly take that through adult life with us, and we never work on it. So hypnotherapy works on that subconscious and rewires and reprograms the mind. It's sort of like, I refer to it as reworking outdated software. Because how many times have you done something you're like, I've got no idea why I thought I did that? It was because the 7-year-old you believed that thing in that way, and you still believe that as an adult, but you don't, but you can't not, because it's programmed into you. It's just like rewiring the mind, which is, I guess, where I get the rewire from. Is
You're right. Yeah.
Values, beliefs, things you've thought to be true. And people use language all the time. So I'm really bad at picking people up. I have to try and stop myself, but my brain's going, it's like someone will say, well, nobody does that. And my brain's going, what do you mean nobody?
Yeah.
So nobody's ever done that. Not one person you know's done that. And that person will go, well, yeah. So like, you're telling yourself that thing can't be done. But as soon as you question, well, that could be done. Roger Bannister couldn't, he ran the 4-minute mile.
4-minute mile, yeah.
But that couldn't be done. And then he did it, and everyone started doing
Everyone broke it as well, didn't they, straight off?
it. It's just
because they built the belief.
Yeah. And you have to be careful of language patterns, but that's where, I guess, working with me, I'd be listening to people and picking up, all right, you've said this, 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 and this. These are your affirmations. I can do things. I can do anything. I can achieve this. Rather than...
Delusional.
Well, people just use generalizations. Nobody in the world's ever done that. I was like, really? It's just picking up. But it's interesting. Once you start understanding it, you'll pick up a lot of...
You were saying you spoke with Tom Aspinall. What was the big difference with, he's like a world champion UFC fighter. What was the difference with his mindset to other people's, like other fighters or amateur level?
Well, one, he does the work and believes in the work. So is with hypnotherapy, some people will say, you can't hypnotize me. So, well, you're right, I can't. Because if you choose not to be hypnotized, you can't be hypnotized. So you have to believe that change can happen, and you have to be open to it. Someone like, I was saying to myself, he was doing hypnotherapy, he was working on his mindset, he was really conscious of all that side of it. And I think the top athletes are aware of the mental side. And then ultimately, if you look at a top athlete, they're peak performers, and they're trying to perform for occasions. So then we should be taking that as, if they're doing all these things to perform, then why aren't we as average people looking to do the same things?
You learn a lot from yourself as well from performing at a high level, or even doing something that you've never done before, running like a half marathon, something like that. It was a disbelief, and now you can believe because you've done it.
Yeah. And there's also then you're going through the pain, right? So you're going through the suffering, and then the greatness comes from the suffering. Obviously, your version of greatness, everyone's got their different version of greatness, but so as I can get my mind in the right place to put me through the pain, going through the pain shows me that I can be successful, and then you relate the mindset to the pain to the growth. And if you start connecting those dots all the time, you then realize you're just going through cycles. So, okay, well, I'm putting in the work, I'm going through the pain, I just need to sustain this pain, because on the other side of the pain is the growth. And then you get the growth, and you're going to go back in again to having to do the work to go through the pain. If you start connecting it up, you realise you're in a cycle, and you can stop yourself and think, I'm just in this part of the cycle. Just get with it, which is what I did yesterday. Just like I had to say, I'm going through the suffering part. I have to put the work in again. I've got clients, but it's not quite where I want to be. Push through, suffer. And the longer I can suffer, the greater the pain will be. The greater the reward will be, the greater. So it's just identifying cycles. Same with flow. Like flow goes through cycles. It's just identifying where you are, whether you're in the struggle phase of flow, whether you're actually in the flow state, whether you're in the recovery stage of flow state. So it's just, I think system syncing helps a lot. To say, this is where I am in the system. You can drop yourself in there, and then you can move through it.
How do you come to that determined, like?
I think that's where you put the work in.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Chris Williamson. He was with Piers Morgan, and they were talking about, where do you start, the mind or the body? And they had a disagreement between the mind and the body. And that's sort of like, to some extent, going to the gym, if you're not going to the gym and training, is a good start for the mind, because it's then going to help put you in a place to be able to think about the mind. Because if you're struggling and you're like, I've got anxiety, and you're sat there and you're like, I need to get rid of my anxiety, it's not really doing anything. But if you go to the gym and you come out and you feel like you've relieved anxiety, stress, and then you start thinking about what was making me anxious. So I think being able to do the both simultaneously and move through that and identify. It's hard to identify by yourself, but again, that comes down to emotionals, talking to people, not watching too much the really bad advice on social media.
Yeah,
that becomes a problem. Sometimes I'll see advice on social media, it's got millions of likes. I'm like, but I just don't agree with it. I just don't think it's right. And like, you got 20-year-old guys liking it and responding to it, and you're like, you just.
Yeah, so I feel like you have to be kind of a good judge of character in social media and sort of filter out the noise. But then again, if you're maybe stuck, it's hard to filter out all that noise.
Yeah,
but I feel like you do have to do something challenging, because it makes you think a little bit more logical, because you're, like you said, your caveman or the chimp is a bit more exhausted, so you can, like, after a hard training session, or maybe if you read a book or something, like, you might feel exhausted to the point where you're like, I can think clearly,
yeah,
and have sense. Where sometimes it's hard.
because you've got so much energy.
Yeah, when you've got so much going on, you're not really even thinking. You need to sort of be like battered.
Yeah,
in a sense.
And that's
you
where
gotta get beaten down.
Yeah, and that's where the walking comes in as well. Just giving you the cold plunges or the cold shower or the gym, but actually doing, because how many people actually work to failure in the gym? So it's all that.
Yeah, I'm just saying gym because that's what I'm into. But maybe like reading a book. I don't know, playing chess.
Whatever it is that.
Or getting punched in the face.
Yeah, whatever it is that provides.
Feel alive.
Golf's a good one for people. Like 4 hours, like you're just concentrating on. So whatever that thing is doing.
I feel like it's just something that drains you maybe a little bit. So then you got time to think, and it's more you.
Just shutting the monkey down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shutting that chimp. It's not that chimp's wild.
Yeah. And
it's a hard emotion to shut down. So like I said, I've been reading the Chimp Paradox again. And I'm like, it's crazy because it is such a hard emotion sometimes to shut off because it's so loud, and then at the same time it wants a lot as well, so you have to sort of like cater for that side and that need, otherwise you won't be able to think straight.
It's also getting the balance of, is it my inner voice? I also didn't know, I found this out recently, some people don't have an inner voice.
They don't?
Apparently there's only like a certain amount of people that have an inner voice.
What do you mean like
when you can talk to yourself
every day?
Yeah, apparently some people don't have that at all.
That's mental, isn't it?
I talk to myself.
We all have one here.
I talk to myself too much.
Yeah, I'm a massive overthinker.
Yeah.
So my mind's just like racing constantly.
I don't know if I overthink, but I do speak to myself a lot.
No, I'm always thinking, I need to do
I'll be driving
and
break down this, and
I'll be training, and sometimes I'll just have put myself in the maddest situations that can't even happen, because I'm thinking, well, what about if this happens? Yeah,
but you do that when you read about like history and stuff like that, and you start thinking of war
booking
and
holidays.
shit.
Yeah. Nah, but everyone knows the Boeing planes are booky, isn't it? So I'm not.
Russia invaded.
Ring me about conspiracies, and he ain't sleeping all night watching Hitler.
No, but what's something that you had to unlearn to grow into the person you are now?
Probably loads of things. I'm trying to think of like the best thing I've had to unlearn. Probably time vs output for me was a big thing. I was always productive, but I had to learn to not feel guilty for doing work quickly and well in a less amount of time. Because it's like getting over that whole, I've got to be in the office at 8 and I've got to be sat there until 5. And that's like I was speaking about earlier, that's a concept that we've sort of driven into us from a young age of primary school, secondary school, working, even uni is set during those times. So having to learn that if I worked 2 90-minute blocks in a day and I could do more than most people in 9 to 5 and I could still go for a walk and go to the gym, I had an initial guilt over that, like I wasn't running my business is the way I should because I wasn't putting the time in. But when you get over the time and output element of things, life changes a lot. But that can be, I struggle
Yeah,
with
that
guilt.
guy that read that 4-hour work week, what was his name? You read it, didn't you?
Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss. He
Yeah.
talks a lot about that, doesn't he? Working 3 hours a day.
Yeah, it's like your work will expand to the hours you give it. That's the thing people say a lot.
Probably why everyone loves working at home now as well, because they know that they're going to get the work done they would normally get done, but just in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, but then if you got, and this is the thing though, if you're working for somebody, if you can make sure they don't know that you've done the work in 90 minutes and you've done what you want for the rest of the day, they're expecting you to do that in a day. They're not going to say anything, but as soon as they know,
They want you to do more, but it just doesn't make sense.
no, and we're not geared for that.
No.
So we,
That's probably why a lot of office workers are just physically, mentally tapped out.
they're just there, switched off, coffee. Just they'll get in
My
at
missus
8:30.
does it and she hates it.
Yeah,
She's like, it drains me.
just not
I'm physically drained.
not designed to
Nah.
just. It's usually in an office. So I've been involved with architectural glazing and architectural design. Like I'm quite hot on wellness and environments. And most offices got no natural light. They've got poor ventilation. So like you're basically being treated like you think about cattle, chickens, and we say, "Oh, I don't want to eat that chicken because it's rammed in this place and it's sat with no light and it's unhealthy." It's like if you're in an office, you're literally doing that thing. Then you're not sleeping properly and you're on your phone and then you're not training and you're not making time for this and you're tired and you're telling yourself all these things. Yeah, but I'm working on 5. I haven't got time to get to the gym. I don't go to the gym because it'll be busy at 5:30 and I'll be Saturday, and you're constantly telling yourself all these things. It's like unlearning that is really tough, but worth it. But most entrepreneurs have sort of
They're sort of on
generally,
that way, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
They already made the step to be a bit different. Whereas
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
for a 9 to 5 person trying to relearn that, that's
Yeah.
you got to want it.
Yeah,
There's got to be
but
something powerful.
Again, you probably won't get people who don't want it because they won't ever seek it.
But it's getting over that initial guilt as well. So let's say you're going, right, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to do my own thing. You'll still do your own thing to start with within the hours of 7, 8 till 5. It'll be like, it's like a psychological
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
We're so
Oh, I
built
done
to it.
And I got wrecked.
Yeah. it's just-
You do, because you think you're
Yeah.
doing more, it works, but it doesn't.
And actually, if I did 2 90 minutes, went for a walk, then another 90 minutes, checked my emails, went to the gym, and that's all I do in a day. It's that there's a guilt there.
Yeah.
Just being like, yeah, but could I have done that yesterday? Could I have done that today?
Could you have done more?
Are you going to lose that job by sending a quote off at 3 p.m. or at 9 a.m. the next day? If you are, was it the right job for you in the first place? But then we've got all these things like 50% of work is won by the first responder. So if you're in sales, you're told that the first person to respond and call that person, you've got a 50% more chance of winning that work. I don't know if that's an actual backed stat, but if you're being told that,
They're going to do it.
I've got, someone's come through. So then you're straight back on it. I'm monitoring my emails all the time. I've got to respond within 3 seconds to that person. I don't reckon I've ever been the first responder, and I've won loads of work.
Yeah.
But I'll deal with it in a certain way. I'll hypnotise people when I'm talking to them. but we're being geared towards that all the time. First responder, do this, you must do this, you must do that, you must be sat at your desk, you must do it. People eat lunch at their desk because they feel guilty for going out. Or some people go and sit in their car and they'll fall asleep in their car at lunch. It's like, what? Like, how is any of this?
Good.
So as learning hypnotist, are you just always analysing when someone's speaking? Is it hard to
Yeah, it's hard
to differentiate just having a normal conversation to actually where you're just analysing everything?
You do have normal conversations, but I do switch into therapist mode of when I'm really listening to the way. But I will pick up. It tells me, like a lot of other people, if they use certain language and words, I think you pick up on body language naturally a lot. So like if I'm working with somebody, like mirroring people is a big thing to build rapport and things like that. So you are more aware of it. I think when you're in a social setting, you tend less to worry about it because you've got to switch your mind off a little bit. But
I was going to say, what about with your family? Is it hard to switch off?
I pick my wife up and work on the phone. She's the one that always says like, nobody does that. Nobody does that. Ever. It's really like, oh, fuck. So that probably irritates her. But I'm also, for me, I'm not doing it from a place of to annoy her. I'm more trying to show her that thing you think nobody's done, if somebody has done it, would it change the way you think about it, and could you do it? Maybe I could say it that way, but she knows what I mean by that.
Yeah.
So I will pick up, and I've already done it with my daughters. They're 6 and 4. They'll say I can't do that. I say you can do it, but that's what I want them to learn. That
of course,
they're right at the age.
They're at the right ages.
Can you open this out of this wrapper? I can't do it. I said you can do it. I can't. I said, I'm not doing it for you. Come back. I've just done it. So I told you you could do it.
Yeah.
That's a really
that
little
belief.
thing.
Yeah.
And then next time they don't ask me.
My girlfriend does that with me all the time. Can you open this? And I'm like, no, but you can do it.
Yeah.
No, I can't. But that must be something down to being a girl and maybe her dad doing, I can't do it. Okay, I'll do it for you. Whereas I'm like, her boyfriend, I'm like, well, I'm not doing it. Yeah. Suffer. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it?
Toxic masculinity.
Smashing the jar on the floor.
What does failure mean to you? Like, how important is failure?
No such thing as failure. Don't believe in it.
Hear.
But it's a whole a technique we get told straight away. There is no failure. There's only feedback. So what is a failure? Someone's perception of you doing something that they didn't think you did well enough. But who cares about what someone's perception is anyway? And then what is failure? Having to start a business again, or are you just going again because you learned from what you did wrong? There's no such thing as failure.
How can, when entrepreneurs come to you, how can they balance being an entrepreneur and then being a father and having that balance?
By learning how to rebalance their time and relationship with time and productivity. Because the techniques I use, I free up. Most entrepreneurs, I can free up 12 hours a week for them. So they'll work with me, and it's this whole 9 to 5 productive thing again. So, well, I do this and I do that and I do this, but you're distracted. You've got this person calling you. You're checking your emails, doing this. You're doing this. You're then being pulled from. What have you set? 90 minutes a day where you only do these things and you turn your phone off and don't do anything else. Then you call me up and say, I've done like a whole 2 days work in 90 minutes. So then you've saved that time.
Yeah. And
then that time goes back in for your family or to train or both. So it's just about, that's where flow state comes in a lot of, most things ultimately come back to the phone, unfortunately.
Yeah. Technology.
So I don't have notifications on my phone.
Same.
I mean, that stemmed from getting panic attacks when I was getting emails. I don't have email notification. I have nothing. Most of my clients will say, "You're really hard to get hold of." I said, "No, I tell you right at the start. Leave me a message. Send me a message. I'll call you when I'm available." Oh, I called you an hour ago, but it's because we live in a world of
now.
No, I want to talk to you right now. It wasn't convenient for me to talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what I called you about now. Half the time, the problem they had's gone away. We just have a reluctance to do things and find things out for ourselves. The amount of times I call someone back, don't worry about it, I've sorted it now. So what'd you call me for? Well, I don't know, you were easier. You want to give me the answer now rather than me have to do the work to look for it.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's the reason I don't pick up my phone. I want you to do the work to look for it because now you've actually learned. So, yeah. The phone has a lot to...
It's like we're trying to go back in time as well. We're trying to have less. We're in a time we have so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of what we have is like materialistic, isn't it? It's like I got to a point within my business, I was like, a nice watch and this and that. And people are like, nice watch. And now I'm like, I'd rather not have it, but know what I can do and what I can afford, but just almost be like happy in that thought that no one else knows. But the person that's got wearing the nice watch, but they can't afford anything because they spent it all on the watch. But they get the reward from feeling like someone else thinks they're a certain way. But then deep down, they know they're not. So what damage are they doing to themselves by being that way in the first place? You're probably stressing yourself out that if you're single and you spent all your money on a Rolex and then you meet a girl at a bar and she thinks, oh, you've got a Rolex, a load of money, and then you can't afford to take her out on a date, how much stress and anxiety are you going to lose over doing that rather than just not doing that. in the
Yeah,
first
you're not
place.
even attracting the people that you can sustain that lifestyle for.
No, and you just
And you don't attract the right people either sometimes.
no. So it's just I feel like having the thought of knowing what you're capable and knowing when you're ready to prove it and when you need to is much more like gratifying than having to show people what you think. But it's just the world we live in.
What's the best advice you've ever received or heard?
The best advice I've ever received. Probably, I think I did. I got given the Winston Churchill quote quite early on, which is the only thing we fear is fear itself. That's what stuck with me. So another learned as I've got older. If you think about most of anxiety and stress is caused by things that never happen. So we're always future pacing fear. So it's not the thing that doesn't happen, it's the thought of the fear that is the problem. So it's just like a rethinking of, so I'm overanalyzing, like most people's problems never happen. But you've made it a problem because you're allowing it to. You're not staying present, you're not in the moment.
Borrowing worry from around the corner.
Yeah, and that's the same with alcohol. They say, so, you're borrowing tomorrow's time. So that's a similar sort of concept of just staying present in the moment. It can be tough, but the more you can do that, the more you're going to reduce your stress and worries anyway.
Yeah. How do you actually want to be remembered? So when it's all said and done for you, how does Leo Howson want to be remembered?
I'm not actually that worried by that, if I'm being honest. I'm more worried about leaving my legacy with my children to put them in a better place than the one I started with. And having the people I care about around me when that moment happens than I am about like what anyone else thinks. But I think that's a mindset thing as well. Like you have to switch off from. Yeah, like what?
It don't matter.
No, like so when people talk about, I want to be known for this and that, but by who?
What about to your kids? How would you want to be remembered to your kids?
Just that I provided them the platform to become who they become. Again, I'm not worried about. I know sometimes I'm going to have to be tough with them, and sometimes I'm going to have to fall out with them to send them in the direction I want to send them, to be able to be their own people, not rely on other people, stand on their own 2 feet, be able to control their mind, be able to regulate their state. I hope they look back and say the tools they were given has allowed them to be fully present people. If I can put them in a place where they know how to deal with mental health, they know how to deal with anxiety and stress, they know all those things, and everything else can take care of itself. Because most of what we battle is lack of education. So we could give everyone a mindset education. Like something I talk about a lot is if we go into schools and a whole day is on mindset education, a week with different people. If a whole day was on money,
You'd actually, it would be a completely different society.
different world.
Yeah.
It's like, I know how to deal with this stress. I know how to deal with that. I know how to do breathwork. I know how to do, because you can do self-hypnosis. I know how to do self-hypnosis. I know how to meditate.
It's like you're preparing them for life, not the school system is just how many people use the school system.
Yeah, it's just
for what?
It's just completely broken.
You're playing their rigged game.
Yeah. And most people just stay on that and then they die with nothing, sometimes with no one around their bed.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
It's just like, why? Like, we worry so much about, because even the question of like, what do you want to be known for? It not that a lot of people ask it, but it presumes that people care about what other people think, which I think is an issue we all deal with, of getting over what anyone else thinks of us. Because if you can have a conversation, leave, and generally not care what that person thinks about you, but you've had a good conversation, I think you're in a pretty good place.
Did you ever have imposter syndrome when you first started?
Oh yeah, I've struggled with. I've really cared what people thought about me when I was younger. Really
Yeah.
cared. I think that's when I first started my business. It's like, am I doing well? Am I earning? Have I got my nice watch? Am I going out on a night out? I can, be at the bar and you're paying, like I'm in my 20s, single. Like all I really cared about was what the perception of what everyone thought about me. And I think that's why I've gone so far the other way. And I'm just like, unapologetically who I am. So it's just an easier. And you'll still get moments of where you want to impress certain people, and you might think in that moment of like, oh, if you met someone that you were idolized or you want to come across, but I think sometimes even by allowing that thought to stay for too long, you're then not being you, and you probably did more damage than you would have been by being you in the first place. So it's hard, but not caring what other people think, because that creates most fears. It's like public speaking, number one problem people have, because you care about what you think other people are thinking. And again, it's the fear of what you're thinking people are thinking, even though they might not even be thinking about you full stop. They're just like, they're thinking they're hungry, they want water. Like, they're not.
They have their own problems.
Yeah, and you're there going, oh, he's probably thinking this, he's probably thinking that. Oh, what if this person thinks that? And like, yeah, the only thing to fear is fear itself. You can basically apply it to anything.
It's everything. It's life.
Like, the skills as well, I think you just become accustomed to catching your own thoughts. That's probably what I teach people as well. Because we probably don't. I still have intrusive thoughts. I'm always going to have intrusive thoughts. But it's picking them up quick enough to deal with them there and then than it is allowing them to be, It's like you might be in the gym and you might be doing squats and you're thinking, I'm lifting a lot of weight, but my legs don't look like they're big enough, or my legs be bigger. If you pick that thought up and be like, yeah, but who cares anyway? I'm training. I'm not training just for that. It's just, you always... This is why I can't understand the concept of people not having an inner voice. I've not actually met anyone that's confirmed that to me.
Yeah.
But I just think that's the nature of the people I tend to be around. And
so if you don't have an inner voice, is it better for you? Then?
Is there like a
I'll have to
percentage of people
that
that
don't
and do?
I think it was quite successful.
High. It's quite high of people who don't. I've never met anyone who don't. But then I've not really asked anyone.
if you think of...
You talk to yourself.
Yeah.
But you think of... I'm trying to think of a way of saying it without sounding like... But I've known some people that will... And there's nothing wrong with this, just an example, but they'll work at till in a supermarket. They'll come home. I'd like to have a good day. Yeah. Switched off. I'm like talking like there's nothing. It's just like everything's simple.
But are they not talking to themselves then in their head? Is that why they're switched off?
Yeah.
It's 20 to 30%.
20 to 30% don't have an inner voice.
So what is that? Is that good? Supposedly you need it in a voice, right?
I feel like as a high performer, you have to. But I feel like maybe the people that are working in offices that just rock up, go in, they're not thinking about anything.
Are they just numb?
Well,
would that be the same? Sort of,
this is the bit that intrigues me.
Do you think they don't suffer from anxiety?
I don't see how they can, because anxiety is future pacing.
They can't think.
Yeah.
So they're probably the people that live the longest. They're probably the 90 to 100-year-olds that, don't overthink. They just get up, get on the train, sit in the office, do their work and go home again. That's it.
It's like that guy at work that said to me before, don't think, just do.
Yeah.
I don't know why that always sticks with me, man.
Which is...
So he said, he just said to me, don't think, just do.
Which is true, but if you don't have to think, you are doing it.
True. Yeah, it is a bad one.
So but I mean, that's millions of people, right?
Yeah.
So you could be having a conversation with someone and not really know about them, and they've got no... Like, I don't know whether it affects memory recall. I've got no idea, but it fascinates me that I've never had a client like... Obviously, I don't think I ever would, because my clients are battling with the inner voice. Like, how do I shut this thing off? And the people are just like, I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just get up in the morning.
But that's how they probably got there in the first place as well, from having that.
Yeah.
That voice.
Yeah.
Because that voice can push you to limits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Realistically.
I think
Even like if you're doing like if you're competing or doing anything, that inner voice sometimes saves you.
I don't think you, as a high performer, you can't have it. Even in the gym, I'll be bench pressing and I'll be like, do this last set, you pussy. Like, you are, if you do not do this, you are a pussy. Or like, sometimes I can get quite extreme with things. I'll be like, if you don't do this, your business is going to fail. But there's no way I'm not listening to that rep. And I'll get, but this is a hard rep. There's no, but I get that rep done.
Yeah.
So I'm pushing myself all the time. I even tell my clients, I'll go to the extreme and saying, like, you're having a bad day, but are you having a bad day? If you got a phone call and found out that your children and wife had died, that's the worst day you could ever have. Now rethink about your day. And they're like, yeah.
It's not that bad.
There's not a problem here, is there? So no, somebody spoke to you in a way and annoyed you, get over it. Like, stop wasting your energy, stress. Like, that thing could happen to you. I really hope it doesn't, but just that little flick of the switch of like, oh yeah, that would be awful.
Yeah, there's always something worse.
Yeah. So that would be horrendous if that thing happened. And now someone cut me up on the road. All right.
Yeah.
No one died. It sounds extreme, but sometimes you need the extreme to click your brain back out.
To make you bring you back to reality.
But sometimes you have bad days and good days. Sometimes, most of the time, if I'm in a good place, someone cuts me off on the road, I might be like, I'll smile and call them a wanker, but
mellow,
just get on with it. But sometimes I'll be like who are like, and I have to catch my. So again, it could be different per day. But if you were that person, allowed yourself to get, and high performers can get like that. Like, they're not being a high performer doesn't mean you're a good leader. So if you're a high performer and you're working and you're on it and you're sort of like, you can be aggressive and kind of a bit hostile, but you're getting results, but doesn't mean it's good for your health. So there's a fine line there.
What does it take to be a good leader?
Empathy. I think a good leader provides a platform for other people to be at their best.
Mm.
And at the same time gets them on board with where they want to go. Rather than dragging, dictating, whipping. And I think a good leader does by action and not words. I think too many people will say, this is what we're doing, this is how you can do it, this is the goals, here's a nice presentation, this is all shiny, this is where we're going, and then they'll go and you won't see them again. We won't hear about them. I think ultimately, I think when I work with people, I'm able to help them because I've helping them get through where I've been through. So again, I'm leading them through where I've been with actual, unless they haven't got an inner voice, I can't help them then. But I'm leading them through where I've been and the experiences I've gone through, but making sure it's on their terms and their skills and their platform. So I think, leadership. But I think anyone can be a good leader. I think sometimes we throw the word leadership around as like business leadership, but yeah, anyone can be a leader.
Yeah.
You need certain traits though. No.
I think you could develop those traits.
Yeah, of course.
I think you could be a natural leader and just you naturally have those traits of maybe listening more than, and asking questions and like taking happiness from seeing people succeed. I think that's something we've really struggled with in this country. Like America, Dubai are really good. They genuinely want to see other people succeed and they want to celebrate your success. In this country, most people want to see other people fail. I'm not one of those people. But I've seen, like, they're just watching you on social media. They're waiting for you to fail. They cannot wait for you to fail. What a twisted mentality.
Yeah.
It's just because of the way we deal with entrepreneurship over here. It's like,
that's why a lot of people are leaving.
Yeah. I've looked into
which I would be leaving.
Yeah, Portugal. I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Still close to the UK, but you get rewarded for being an entrepreneur. You get rewarded for wanting to do good things. Dubai, I would have moved to ages ago, but it's too far away from my wife and her family. But yeah, but obviously in the UK, you're dealing with that mentality of that you always feel like somebody's there waiting for you to fail.
Yeah.
And then you start second guessing, what if I prove that person right? But then that's why you have to remove the failure, and not care about what other people. I think that's why I've got so like, doesn't matter. There's no failure. I really don't care what you think anyway.
Yeah.
But that's what we struggle with a lot over here. But I think we glorify a perceived failure because it shows the reason we didn't take the risk and make the choice. That's why I didn't do that. That's why I work 9 to 5. That's why I sit in office.
Yeah, and it just don't make sense. It's the same with athletes. So if they lose their fight and things like that, it's sort of like you didn't really lose. You're just learning.
Yeah,
it's part of the game.
It's the perception.
But it's the
outside.
perception of boxing. You had a lot of obviously rigging.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
everyone wants that but it's like how many people actually never lose? It's impossible.
No, and also rather than, again, working with fighters, rather than perceiving it as a loss, do you perceive that your opponent showed you something you didn't know about yourself?
Yeah.
And now can you take that away and learn on it? Because you never would have known that unless you'd been in that position in the first place.
Yeah.
Nobody likes, high performers don't like losing something they struggle to deal with. But again, it's just how quickly can you take the learnings from that and reapply it to not let that happen again? And maybe you'll just...
It's just a reality as well. It's a reality that you will take a loss. Even though, like you said, no one wants to lose, but it will come. It's inevitable. It has to.
If you look at the millions of fighters as an example, we're always honing in on the 10 that have got a clean record. So, but what about all the millions of people that lose more than they win? But they're still, even like the UFC, you've got a couple of people, they've still got losses.
But that's because what we do. We turn them into like these superstars, and we make them fabricate them into these massive things, and then they never lose. So it's like, oh, well, I've got to be like that.
And that's where you get the mindset problems, because you're comparing yourself to
someone who's
one in
10
million, one in, and then same in business. So going back to Hormozy, we're going, well, yeah, but he's doing 450. That's even in my head. I'm doing one a day at 450. So for me, all I take it is that I need to get to one a day, but I'll need to do more than one a day. And when I build the teams, I can get to that point.
Yeah.
But you're still...
Yeah, I think that's you're always going to compare. But like you said, this is a hard... You have to... It's hard to dial out the noise, but you have to dial out the noise.
Yeah.
And like you said, but that's probably where it comes into having your plan and sticking to your rules.
Yeah.
So then you don't come off track.
Yeah, it's
Just admire them.
Yeah, and it's putting your goals in place. Like, actually... Okay, so the thought of posting 450 times a day is to do what? Was to attract my client. But is there a way, I don't want to post 450 times a day, is there a way to attract my client without having to post 400 times a day? Oh, well, that's a different way of looking at it. Because I'd much rather do that. And now you're thinking, now you're getting, okay, well, how can I do that and get that same result without having to do that thing I don't want to do? Then it becomes authentic, your way of thinking, your way of working, and then you generally find the thing that works for you. And then you'll probably try and end up selling that thing that works for you to someone else, which is what everyone does.
Yeah.
But you're always, because when you're buying a course, usually you're on the course doing the thing that worked for that one person. And what we actually need to do is find a thing that works for us. And we spend so much time trying to develop in everyone else's way. That person just spent longer than anyone else finding out what worked for them. So that's just, again, it's just like re-shifting the way you think about things.
Was there any last things that you didn't get out? Was there any things we didn't touch on with you that you wanted to get out before we go on to the last question?
Speak for days.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm quite good at going on. We have like a topic, we'll go somewhere like...
Yeah, that's what a podcast is though, man. That's why we love doing it.
It's always good, like random topics you go through.
So the final question of the pod, we ask everyone that comes on, what's been your most euphoric moment in life so far?
We've had quite a few. That my 2 girls coming into the world, there's no way that can't be top.
Is it a crazy feeling?
Yeah, it's funny because it changes. I was always conscious it was going to change the way I act, which it has. But I've had to, as an entrepreneur, it can dial you back a little bit. So it was almost like this amazing moment happened. Then I realised I was becoming, at one point, like less risk adverse. That isn't in my mentality. So then I had to learn to dial that back up and get to a happy medium. But in terms of just the pure moment of holding your little one in your hands, yeah, it's a surreal surreal moment. I think it's not really. There's loads of good things that have happened in my life, but it's hard to not put those. The 2 girls that are there. That would be. Yeah, the fact I can't even think about anything else. Would be
that one.
That's it.
Yeah, like I'm even thinking like getting married. That was like a good day, but not compared to like you've literally like this thing is. It's
real.
Yeah. It might be yours, might not. From the state I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's definitely mine.
Just a quick one before we wrap up as well. The Sunday State, so your newsletter. Why should people subscribe? What sort of info are you giving out there?
So I'm actually really proud of that newsletter. I'm pushing that out there. So what it's designed to do is give you a task every Sunday to start developing you into a high performer. So it's a simple task. So last week, as an example, was the no list. And it was just create a list of 3 things you're going to say no to this week. And we were talking about why no's are important. So it's like probably a 3-minute read every Sunday that gives you a simple task to help pushing you to become a high performer.
That's alpha. That sounds like alpha as well. I'm subscribed to it already.
Yeah,
I'm subscribe. Yeah.
So we'll link that down below as well, how you can get signed up. People, make sure you go to Leo's page as well and check him out because he's got loads of content on there. Same with the X as well. I'll link the X down below because your threads are really good. But you post sometimes to Instagram as well, don't you? Or you just put a certain part up.
Sometimes I'll put like a carousel up.
Yeah.
Generally, the same day is going to be a taste of that content all around. But yeah, I like X because you go into a bit more
Detail.
Like X is more philosophy type posting.
Yeah.
I can sort of say whatever I want. Instagram becomes a little bit more. You have to worry more about like images and pictures and the way it's put across, more videos, and then LinkedIn I pretty much repost as well. But yeah, I'm pushing people on the newsletter at the moment. I just think I'm trying to dilute everything I do and just provide easy actual steps, like real value.
People, thank you for tuning in. Leo, thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. It's
good to
really
meet you.
good.
Wicked pod, man. Thank you.
Kiss me.
Everyone, make sure you go to Leo's profile, check it out. Newsletter will be linked, the X will be linked, the Instagram will be linked, and hopefully make sure you comment as well the thing you've taken out the most or the thing you're lacking the most in your own personal life, and try and get that 1% better each day or each week. And thank you for tuning in, and peace, people.